Okay, I have a comment lastly, before ending, I have a comment for Chetan bhai. Chetan, Harsh is asking, do we have any chance of Virat Kohli as captain? We want him back as test captain. इन्होंने दो बातें कही हैं, आप दोनों में से किसका जवाब पहले दोगे, पहले ये बताओ.
I don't think he's the only option as captain, to be very honest. I'm not going to talk as a fanboy. So I think Ravichandran Ashwin, अगर आपको एक stopgap arrangement चाहिए, अगर मैं आज अजीत अगरकर की जगह पे हूँ, I would make Ravichandran Ashwin test captain. After conversation with Rohit Sharma to set out a plan कि रोहित शर्मा को कैप्टनसी करनी है नहीं करनी है, क्या वो इससे बेहतर कर सकते हैं या नहीं. विराट कोहली, there are just finishing quickly, Srini, then you can answer. विराट के साथ देखो, it's not going to be that easy. There's always going to be an ego issue there, that the way he was treated, and he's right to be upset. The way he was treated was absolutely pathetic, absolutely shambolic. You cannot treat, let alone a player like Virat Kohli, the way he was treated. You cannot treat an Indian captain. He was Indian captain at that point, and he had so much to give. He had given so much to Indian cricket. You cannot treat an Indian captain like that. So from that perspective, will Virat Kohli say ki, okay, you know what, I'm happy to come back? I don't think so. Okay. Also, we have to consider that 3 years before 23, he did not score too many big runs across formats. So now he's finding that rhythm again. Now he's finding that form again. Will he want to say, you know what, chuck this aside, मैं फिर से captaincy करता हूँ? Because when you're captain, there are so many distractions. Your mind is thinking, क्या आप single mind से focus कर सकते हो? अभी he just has to focus on his batting. He has nothing else to do, right? So I don't know. Obviously, I would love to have Virat Kohli back. I think I covered a lot of my test cricket that I've covered was MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli, and Virat Kohli was brilliant with the test captaincy. So obviously there were some negative points there as well, but उनको थोड़ा अभी side रखते हैं. I would love to see how Virat does in this phase, because when I covered MS Dhoni as test captain, he was presiding over the transition. 1-1.5-2 साल जो था उन्होंने transition किया, 2012 to 2014 वो पूरा transition था. Now there is another transition. How will I want to see how will Virat Kohli captain the side when this transition is ongoing? Because he captained the side which was fantastic, which was brilliant players, all at the height of their maturity. Now this would be a very, very different challenge for Virat, but I don't see it happening. I think Srini will give a better perspective. But like I said, there is not just the one option. For me, if I were in Ajit Agarkar's shoes, if I have to pick a new test captain, Ravichandran Ashwin, for the next 1.5 years at least, he can easily be the test captain.
Yeah, Srini, you were saying something.
No, so on the same thing, there's a slightly bigger picture to that very question that came up on the Virat Kohli thing. पहली बात तो वो आएगा नहीं, तो वो जब कर रहा था तो तुमने उसको रेड बॉल कैप्टनसी तभी उसको तब उसको बुला के बात करना चाहिए था उससे कि भाई मत जा, रुक जा, 2 साल के लिए मत जा. तुमने तब नहीं किया, वो अब आएगा, तो उसको तो छोड़ो. पॉइंट इज, तुमको जो करना है, तुमको कप्तानी विराट को देनी है, तुमको कप्तानी रोहित के पास रखनी है, तुमको कप्तानी केएल राहुल को देनी है, तुमको कप्तानी जसप्रीत बुमराह को देनी है. देखो एक मैंने एक ट्वीट डाला था मैंने, द डे Virat Kohli had stepped down as the captain of the Indian team as test captain. Okay, I clearly remember where I was standing, what I was doing when that press release came, and who I had spoken to just 1 hour before that press release. I knew that the statement is coming, and when that statement came, I put out a tweet immediately saying KL Rahul is the next captain of the Indian Test team. Together today, people remind me about that tweet. It wasn't me, it wasn't some light bulb that was there in my mind कि वो विराट KL Rahul को कप्तान बनाएंगे. नहीं, this is what Rahul wanted, and this is what Rahul had proposed to Indian cricket, to the selectors and to the administration. By Rahul, I mean Rahul Dravid, the coach. This is what the coach of the Indian team had suggested to the Indian cricket, whatever, selectors, administrators, whatever, that we need to invest in KL Rahul as the new captain, basis which it was decided. Except that there were people in Indian cricket administration who at that point had cold feet. They There was mixed thinking. Half of the thought was that he's not ready for Test captaincy. The other half of the thought was that we may not come out looking very good in the scheme of things, right? And that is why because the white ball captaincy was anyways going to be handed over to Rohit Sharma, it was a convenient way to just hand over everything to Rohit. It was less of a headache at that time. Okay, basis which these decisions were taken. It wasn't like they had identified Rohit as India's next red ball captain. They hadn't. They had identified him as the next white ball captain. So, everything, I can't spell out everything in black and white. There are certain things which always remain gray. Having said that, let me reiterate that neither was there a plan at that time in terms of, how you want to pursue your red ball priorities. Neither has been there a plan now in terms of how you want to pursue red ball cricket. Just to quickly, kind of wrap this up, in 2015, 14-15, when MS was contemplating stepping down as the red ball captain of India, Chetan talked about the transition. That transition was at a turning point where Virat had been identified as India's next leader, the tiger in the room, waiting to mark its territory. Okay. So, on the basis of that, it was Virat's team in the making from 13-14 onwards. And captaincy, giving away the captaincy to Virat was just about, transition, that the final handing over of the sword kind of a thing, right? That was the final mark of giving the captain. Has that been there now? No, it has not been there. Why? Because Virat left abruptly. Why did he left Virat? Why did he leave abruptly? That BCCI has itself to blame, right? Having said that, have you considered that a proper healthy transition did not happen? And for a proper transition to happen, there are only two ways to go about. You either hand it over to someone new today and let it go forward, whoever it is, whether it, as Chetan says, you identify Ashwin, give it to him for 1.5 year. I don't agree with it, but as he says, give it to Ashwin 1.5 year and then see where it goes. Or you hand it over to a youngster today who kind of takes the charge for the next 3 to 5 years, or you go back to square one.
Reason?
Or you go back to square one, make Virat agree to this, or you say, no, right now let me continue with Rohit. Yeah. My point is, why I interrupted and why I said I wanted to add something was, whatever you do, start thinking about it now. When are you going to Australia? You're going to Australia in December. Like, for example, England is coming here after the South Africa series. Rohit's grandmom can captain that series. You really don't need to think twice. You आप एक एंड से जडेजा लगाओ, दूसरे एंड से अश्विन लगाओ, और राहुल द्रविड़ को कप्तान रखो, क्यूरेटर राहुल द्रविड़ को साथ में लंच करवाओ, वो सीरीज आप आधा तो वैसे ही जीत जाओगे. ठीक है. पॉइंट इज, आपने सोचनी है, आपको जाना है ऑस्ट्रेलिया दिसंबर में, और आपको वहां पे 2 बार आप जीत के आए हो, आपको वो सीरीज को प्रोटेक्ट करनी है, आपको वहां पे अपना डोमिनेंस आपको डिफेंड करना है. वहां आपका क्या प्लान है? तो आप अक्टूबर तक मत रुकिए, नवंबर तक मत रुकिए वो सोचने के लिए. उसको बारे में आप यहाँ से सोचना शुरू करो, क्योंकि अगले साल
just one line, which is why I said, because obviously they don't have a plan, and there is no youngster who is actually making a claim. Can you imagine if we had made Shubman Gill the captain? Can you imagine?
कहाँ से ये बात आ रही थी? I don't know.
No chance मत कहो, हमने ही बैठ के शो किया है, आपने ही होस्ट किया था कि शुभमन गिल को क्या कैप्टनसी बनानी चाहिए.
I was not in any favor of that.
क्या कैप्टनसी देनी चाहिए. क्रिकेट में भी हमने ये शो किया है. What I'm trying to say is, Rishabh Pant was such a huge loss at the time when he had that accident. I can't wait for him to come back, and I hope he comes back fully fit and just continues from where he left off, because he would have been such a great option as captain across formats, but we did not have that option. So right now we do not have a youngster. Right now we do not have a youngster who can really step up into this transition. No Shreyas Iyer, nobody. हमारे पास सिर्फ 2 options हैं, एक जसप्रीत बुमराह और एक रविचंद्रन अश्विन, apart from Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. Bumrah as test captain makes very little sense because he can't play all test matches. He just can't.
Okay, last one. Okay, Sahil.
No, I have a Ashwin, because you do not. He can be a stopgap like Anil Kumble was till an MS Dhoni is ready to take over or till the next guy is ready to take over.